Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
And we welcome you to this Tuesday edition of the show. Good to have you with us all across America and Canada. Penultimate show of the week as far as our regular show. We'll be with you on Christmas Eve, and then we'll be off on Thursday and Friday. You'll have the SportsWrap Best of 2025 Year in Review show. So big, we've broken it up into 2 days. Part 1 on Thursday, on Christmas Day, while you're eating whatever it is you eat on Christmas. And then Part 2 on Friday. So looking forward to bringing that to you. I always love doing these year-end shows because you start to go back and you forget all the things that happened in the course of 12 months. So I always enjoy putting together those year-end, year-in-review shows. So we'll have that for you on Thursday. And Friday, all the different people that have come on and talked with us throughout the year about all the biggest stories, they'll be there too. So looking forward to that. All right. In this show, Dennis Bernstein will join us today. Does a great job on the NHL, SiriusXM NHL Radio, thefourthperiod.com. Get some thoughts with him on where we are as we approach the end of the year, the Winter Classic, all these great things that are coming for the NHL, and people start to pay attention. As much as we've talked about the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA this year, there's an equally bigger story going on right now in the NHL, and that is the Colorado Avalanche. So we'll talk about that with him. Robert Littal is hanging out with us today and tomorrow with Sam Yarnell being off. So we'll talk about some of the top stories of the day with him as well. But we start things as we always do with the big story. And the big story starts in the NFL and ends in the NFL on this Tuesday. Because what the San Francisco 49ers have done here in 2025 is nothing short of amazing. I don't know who's going to wind up winning Coach of the Year honors in the NFL. It should be Kyle Shanahan, or at least he should have a seat at the table when it comes to the conversation, because he has played arguably, or coached arguably the best he ever has with a 49ers team that has been beset by injuries. Bosa, Warner, Brock Purdy for a huge chunk of time this year, where Mac Jones had to come in and lead the team. And the Niners have just kept marching along in the best division in football. We all see what the Seahawks have been, how good the Rams have been, the 49ers. You could argue the three best teams, not just in, the NFC, but in all of football, are in one division. I mean, that's remarkable when you think about it. Brock Purdy, 5 touchdown passes last night in the Monday Night Football win over the Colts. Something that not even the likes of Joe Montana and Steve Young, Hall of Famers, all-time greats, were able to do on Monday Night Football. So you have that aspect of the story. And look, the Niners are going to have to outscore teams because their defense has been decimated by injuries. They're going to have to do it on the offensive side of the ball. But that's Kyle Shanahan's specialty. So if there was ever a time you could lean on him, and as Brock Purdy said, going into his bag of tricks last night, he dipped deep into the bag. Brock Purdy was talking about after the game, to bust out some great play calls. And man, I'm alive, man. What they did last night in Indianapolis was impressive. Now, while we can talk about the 49ers, and there's a couple of games left in the regular season, and we'll see where the playoff positioning lines up, and I think everything you see in the postseason is just going to be predicated on matchups. Some teams are going to match up better with others than they do with certain teams. So while I think that's a part of the story, I want to shift it to the Indianapolis side of this. This team was 7-1. They were the darlings in the NFL. Daniel Jones coming in and supplanting Anthony Richardson, who never really got his opportunity, which is a story that'll be talked about years down the road. Whatever happened to Anthony Richardson? And who knows, maybe he gets an opportunity to play somewhere else, because it doesn't seem like it's going to be in Indianapolis, as they are committed to Daniel Jones, it seems like, beyond this year, even with the injury that he suffered that ended his season. But can I talk about the Phillip Rivers part of this for a second? Nobody was as big a cheerleader and pom-pom waver of this Phillip Rivers story that I was. Let's face it, I'm in the story business, and there is no greater story potentially in the NFL this year than the one of Phillip Rivers getting up off the couch, having been retired for 5 years, coaching a high school team, with his 10 kids, and coming out of retirement, and Grandpa Rivers, kind of waddling into Colts camp, and all of a sudden winning games for this team. It was a nice idea, and they almost won in Seattle. And last night, they hung around against the Niners on a night where they had no way to stop anything San Francisco wanted to do in this game. But if you watch the game closely enough, you can tell Phillip Rivers is all of 44 years old. He can't throw a ball beyond 20 yards, which makes you very one-dimensional. There's a reason Jonathan Taylor is struggling, and it's not because Jonathan Taylor overnight became a terrible running back when he was great for the first 8 weeks of the season. It's the fact that there is no danger of getting beat in the passing game or getting beat deep, and defenses are just keying in and saying, we're going to stop Jonathan Taylor and force Phillip Rivers to beat us. And it's nice. He can dink and dunk his way to a couple of touchdown passes, and they score a bunch of points, and you see the family, and it all looks great. But at the end of the day, what this really was a fun experiment for a couple of games. And who knows, maybe they'll start him for the final couple of games as a thank you for coming out of retirement and resetting the retirement clock 5 years. Maybe that's the way this plays out over the last couple of games, and he gets another farewell of sorts here for Phillip Rivers. But anybody who's watched these two games should understand that while he could still be incredibly accurate and he's a ferocious competitor, the physical ability just isn't there. Like, if they had played a full, 17-game schedule with Phillip Rivers this year, they wouldn't have been very good. They wouldn't have been as good as they were if they had Daniel Jones for a full 17-game schedule. There's no getting around that. One last thing on the Niners, if I can, for just a second here. All the injuries that have beset this team this year, who's the one guy that hasn't been hurt the entire year? And it's the reason why this team right now is 11-4. It's Christian McCaffrey. If you ever wanted to understand just how valuable he is, and we talk about most valuable players, Christian McCaffrey proving every bit of why he is as MVP caliber as anybody. We're coming back. More on the NFL next. Welcome back to this Tuesday edition of the show. I said Robert Littal is hanging out with us today from Black Sports Online. Hanging out with us tomorrow as well. Founder of Black Sports Online. Why can't I ever get my guests centered? Can you move to your right? I'm going to do this live on the show. Look at this. There we go. There, perfect. Perfect. You're perfect. I am a huge fan of your microphone, mic color, choreography there.
I'm a very colorful individual. That's what I've been taught.
The combination of the sweater and the mic is just fantastic. We are a professional outlet here. I should have centered him before the segment started. So I talked about it a bit in the big story, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Niners improved to 11-4 with this win in Indianapolis against the Colts. And I'll get to the Colts side of this in a second, but I want to talk about it from the perspective of the Niners and their fans, because I mean, look, I know he's gone to a Super Bowl and all that. This is the best job Kyle Shanahan's ever done with this team. To have this group with all of the things that have, the injuries that have beset this roster, to have this team at 11-4, Robert, is nothing short of amazing in this 2025 season, where every year you get teams and people are like, if we didn't get injured, we were banged up in this spot and that spot. I mean, they lost Brock Purdy for a significant period of time and were able to still hold it together. He had 5 touchdown passes last night. First Niner quarterback to ever do that on a Monday night. And this is a franchise that's had some pretty good quarterbacks. Remember, Steve Bono was fantastic. I'm kidding. Steve Young and Joe Montana. Joe Montana. I mean, this is a quarterback. This is a franchise that's had some great quarterbacks. So I want to talk about it from the Niners' perspective. But the one thing I pointed out in the big story, and I want to get your thoughts on it, is for all the guys that have been hurt this year, who's the one guy they've managed to keep healthy the entire season?
Christian McCaffrey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the key.
Engine.
That's the key. We talk about MVPs in this league so many times, Robert, and we always talk about guys that, we always go to the quarterback position, a Josh Allen, a Matthew Stafford, a Drake May, all these different guys we throw out there. For my money, he won't win it. But Christian McCaffrey, that's an MVP because you see what his value is when they're able to keep him healthy and on the field.
Yeah, that's a very good point because I was going to say that two things I was going to say. First off, the 49ers they kind of like this under the Shanahan era, a little up and down. But if you actually look at it, those downs are when Christian McCaffrey is hurt, and those ups are when he's relatively healthy. So I guess you really pointed out something, the main factor there. I think secondly, the NFL these days, nobody gets through the year without some significant injuries in the NFL. And I think what it shows is who are the elite coaches from the good coaches. Because elite coaches can overcome, Jim Harbaugh lost pretty much his entire offensive line.
Joe Alt, yeah.
Has lost his running back for potentially an amount of time, lost guys in the deep. Guys have been suspended, and they're 11-4. Vrabel has had injuries on the other end, doesn't necessarily have the greatest wide receiver core of all time. They're good. But then you see other things like John Harbaugh.
Yep.
Can't quite overcome it when everybody is not what they want. You see other teams where, a couple of injuries hit, and next thing you know, they can't, even the Colts to an extent. Like you said, Brock Purdy hasn't been around for a while. And, but the Colts, they lose Daniel Jones. And, they bring in 97-year-old Phillip Rivers, but they can't win.
And it also goes to show the value of getting a capable
good backup quarterback,
which I have always said,
Green Bay.
Yes.
Malik Willis, like they didn't win that game. They should have won the game, but it shows you the difference when somebody comes in that you have a lot of confidence in.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. So the Niners, 11-4. I still don't know what it means for them in the postseason because this thing is so wide open. But I mean, just hats off to Kyle Shanahan and what he's done, and John Lynch too, and what he's done with that team. On the Phillip Rivers thing, and I also talked about this in the big story, and I'm dying to get your thoughts. Do you even bother playing him the last two games? Because I don't.
No, why not?
Look, the only reason you do it is because you say, hey, you came out of retirement, you reset your Hall of Fame clock for us. When we called, you came. But other than that, I'd rather find out what Riley Leonard brings to the table, here in the final couple of games if I'm this team. And technically they're still not out of the. They have a small chance of still making the playoffs. But it was a nice story for a couple of games, and I know he had a couple touchdown passes last night. He can't throw a ball more than 20 yards though. I think I could throw the football further at 48 right now than Phillip Rivers could at 44.
Yeah, I was looking at Riley Leonard on the sideline. I was like, what he must be thinking? Quinn Ewers is getting a shot. Shador's is getting a shot. How bad do they have to think I am? If they're bringing in a 75-year-old man, like you said, who can't throw. He's surprisingly accurate for a guy that, cannot throw the ball, deep.
Yeah.
I thought he played pretty well yesterday. But like I said, it's for the vibes right now. He's already back. He's, got out 100 of his kids at the game. Even if he gets hurt, what's the matter? He's not coming back anyway. Let him go ahead and ride it out. He seems to be having fun. There's somewhat. Hey, listen, it wasn't his fault they lost the game. Their defense is falling apart. That was the reason that they lost the game, not Phillip Rivers.
No, I know their secondary has been decimated by injuries. But what were the Colts? 7-1. I think they were 7-1 at one point.
Tells you how I remember us talking about it, and I remember me saying, the NFL is funny, man. You're up and then you're not. There was a time where they talking about firing the Jacksonville coach early in the season. He had to look at some struggles. The same old Jacksonville, same old Trevor Lawrence, and look at him now. almost at the, the number one, close to the number one seed. And maybe the way they're playing, maybe the favorites to go to the Super Bowl in the AFC, believe it or not.
It really is remarkable. And there are some that have argued Phillip Rivers actually enhanced his Hall of Fame credentials coming out of retirement here at 44 because it's reminded a lot of people about just how good a quarterback he was when he was playing. It kind of flashed people back. I hate the idea that he has to wait another 5 years, by the way, and I've mentioned this to our friend Jason Cole, who's one of the Hall of Fame selectors. And he says, hey, not my responsibility, but somebody should step in and say, we don't need to reset this guy's clock another 5 years.
For not 4 games.
At most 4 games. I know, it's crazy to me. All right, we've got more to do as we continue on this Tuesday edition of the show. DK Metcalf has been suspended for 2 games, a number that even took me by surprise. We'll get into it on the other side as we continue on this Tuesday edition of Sports Wrap. Welcome back to this Tuesday edition of the show. Dennis Bernstein of thefourthperiod.com and SiriusXM NHL Radio joins me 10 minutes from now. Talk about the top stories in the world of the NHL. We haven't talked to him in a few weeks. Got the outdoor game coming up in Miami, of all places. Dying to know what that ice is going to be like. Good luck. So that's coming up. Again, we are off on Thursday and Friday. A reminder on that. We've got the SportsWrap 2025 Year in Review show. We actually took 2 days to do it right and get all the stories from all the different sports in there. So that'll be on Thursday and Friday. Robert Littal is joining me for today and tomorrow's show with Sam off. And I'm dying to kind of get into it with you here on this DK Metcalf story because I've obviously been tracking it since what took place on Sunday with him going over to the sidelines in Detroit, interacting with the fan. He grabs the fan. He swipes at the fan. He did not punch the fan. Stop saying he punched the fan. He did not punch the fan. As unhappy as I was with what he did not punch the fan. But clearly there's a backstory here of this fan having interacted with him in the past or heckling him in the past. And there's been a lot said about what may have been said. Nothing certainly has been confirmed as to what has been said, but the league has had its say. They've decided to suspend Metcalf for 2 games for what you're seeing here on the screen. I thought he should be suspended. I thought a game would have been fine. There were people like Mike Florio who said it was just going to be a fine, which it wasn't. And they go 2 games, Robert. What was your reaction?
I thought he should have been applauded, actually. I thought he did the right thing because here's the thing. We don't know, like you said, what he said. Now, what we do know, though, what we know factually is that this particular fan and him have a history, and he reported this fan beforehand last year for saying we don't know because there's no video of what ever happened last year. So you have to look at it from DK's perspective. Let's just assume that last year he said some things that he shouldn't have said that was very inappropriate. Let's just assume that. And then you see the same fan. He has your jersey. He's taunting you. You remember what he said last year. He's still in the stadium. The security has done nothing. You're having a bad day, whatever it may be. And then you see this guy say something to you. I think in those type of situations, when someone is particularly trying to antagonize you and he has a DK Metcalf jersey and he keeps calling you by your name and he said things to you before and you've asked security to take care of it and they haven't done anything, I can understand why somebody would snap. I'll be perfectly honest with you. And if he would have punched him, I wouldn't have been mad at it either, to be honest with you, because fans have gotten out of control, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with you on the latter.
I'm just saying, I just feel like fans have gotten out of control, and this is a bad message it emboldens other fans. Be like, okay, if long as I, say a certain way and maybe only videotape it here, I can get away with this because they can't do anything to me. Now, I understand DK has much more to lose than the fan, and he has to keep his cool. But I can't feel bad, for the fan. I can't call DK and say he's this or that, because if I thought somebody said something about my mother, no one would be able to tell me anything, or my kid or my wife, or call me a slur. If I felt like that's what happened, it wouldn't matter what the consequences were. Sometimes you just have to react.
See, here's the thing for me. You still ultimately have to be. I hate saying this. I hate taking this approach to this, because I am with you on the fact that fan behavior has gotten out of control. Fans are emboldened in this era of TikTok videos and Instagram videos of, by the way, which I make every day with SportsWrap shorts. But I'm saying in these sorts of moments,
on the street.
No. I know, right?
People.
I agree.
Right?
I agree. I'm not out in the streets antagonizing people. I'm not running up to people and surprising them or something like that.
Yeah, you're not doing that.
Yes.
It's
I agree.
societal.
I agree. It is societal, but there still has to be a measure of professionalism in these sorts of instances. Why is he even that far over on the sideline? This is way out. He should be on the bench. He should be trying to figure out why we're down 10-3 at this point in the game in Detroit. He had no reason to be all the way over there engaging with this fan anyway.
I understand that. But here's the thing, Jason. It's like, I think sometimes we think of athletes as robots, right?
Yes.
And they have no, too much emotion, is looked down upon for certain, athletes. And I just think we don't think sometimes how we would react if we was in Walmart, and we were going down the aisle and somebody said something to us, we were, it's the reason there's fights at football games, because people talk crazy.
People do talk crazy.
Here's the thing. The fan, and I don't know what he said, but we do know he was antagonizing him, and we do know that he has antagonized him before. He gets a financial windfall from the fact that he was able to get under his skin. You should not get paid for being a troll. But that is what our society is right now. We have millionaires, people like Jake Paul, that are maybe going to end up being a billionaire because they're just trolls. Yep. And it just grinds my gears. And that's why I feel so strongly about it.
I get it. I don't disagree with you, but here's what I'll point to. Jackie Robinson got called a lot worse.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
That dude never went into the stands to go after anybody.
Well, here's the thing. Because they'd have killed him. I feel like, and listen, I'm not advocating anything like that, but it's like, and I can understand, but just imagine that frustration of that's why they say Branch Rickey picked Jackie Robinson over some of the other.
Yes.
Because he knew some of the other players maybe been a little bit more skilled or younger or better than Jackie Robinson. But they would have, killed. They would have got killed because they wouldn't have taken it. The way that he took it. And it's 2025, almost 2026. We shouldn't still be thinking about the same thing Jackie Robinson thought about in the 1950s.
Well, I'm just saying in terms of the professionalism side of it. That's what I'm talking about.
I understand we have to
taking the high road and taking the high road.
And I'm sure every day online we see stuff and we have to bite our tongue. People, sometimes I look at other media people's like say Ryan Clark, right? Yeah. Ryan Clark can be like, I ate cereal today. And under the replies is just, I don't know how he deals with it. I guess I wouldn't listen. But my replies are like that sometimes. But I could imagine dealing with that on a daily basis.
Yeah. Welcome back on this Tuesday. It's been a few weeks since we talked pucks, and I always love to do it with this guy. He is like the U.S. Postal Service. Rain or shine, he's there all the time. Dennis Bernstein of SiriusXM NHL Radio, thefourthperiod.com as well, hangs out with us on the show. We're approaching that time of the year in the NBA, that time of the year in the NHL, where the interest gets ramped up for both of those leagues. The New Year's Classic. They're going to play an outdoor game in Miami. I assume you're going to Miami, by the way. You're not missing that, right?
No, I'm not missing that for 1 minute. No, we're leaving on the 30th. We're going to spend about 4 or 5 days. It's funny, Jason, when I travel around the country, I go to Pittsburgh, I go to Columbus. My wife never wants to go. But when I go to Miami for New Year's Eve, sorry, son, you're taking me. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit of vacation. It should be epic. I was at the Stadium Series and here in LA was one at Yankee Stadium as well. I've done a lot of outdoor games. This is going to be very unusual in Miami. Looking forward to it.
What's the best one? What's been the best venue so far of all the outdoor games? I'm putting you on the spot here, but I'll give you a second to think about it. What's been the best? What's been the best one?
Well, from a personal standpoint, in 2010 when the Flyers and Bruins played at Fenway Park, but not because of the game itself. The day before, we got a tour of Fenway Park from one of these these old cats who are the Red Sox employee. I'm a Yankee fan. Took us around, but at the end of the tour, they let us go inside the Green Monster. And then to start the game, they played a national anthem. The B-2 bomber flew over Fenway Park. So I said to my wife, let's see, we're inside the Green Monster. B-2, who cares about the game? Let's leave. And that's a lot about what those games are, Jason. If you go to these games, they're events. They're history. It maybe not the greatest sightlines. If you're going to see a hockey game, I wouldn't recommend it. If you want to see some history, which there'll be more history made in Miami and then certainly in Tampa in February when they do the outdoor game there. It's an idea and concept that people think are running out of steam, but until they stop selling tickets for these events, which they are in droves, it's going to continue.
Yeah, and it's still because they don't do like 10 of them a year. Like the NFL plays all these games over in Europe. By the time you get to the 5th or 6th one, it's like, all right, I'm tired of getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch an NFL game. You don't need to do it anymore. But they only do it once or twice a year.
Yeah, and like last year at the Horseshoe in Columbus, it was fantastic. And plus that field, it's not a very wide stadium, so the fans were right on top of the ice. So yeah, I think it's fun, and I get it. If you live in Seattle and you don't care about Detroit and Columbus playing, I get it. But it's a local market game, like it is in Miami, like it'll be in Tampa when the Bruins and Lightning play. But it's still a concept that has a lot of legs with respect to special events for the NHL.
Are you surprised Detroit has stuck where they are here in the Atlantic atop the division at 45 points, even though their goal differential is a -3, which is kind of crazy? Are you surprised that they've been able to hang this long nearing the midway point of the season at the top of the division?
No, because all these teams are the same, Jason. It's like there's so much parity. I talked to 2 GMs over the last month or so, and they used the word twice, parity. There's just not a lot, especially in the Atlantic Division. So am I surprised? No. They're on a nice run. They're 7-2-1 in the last 10. John Gibson, who they got in from Anaheim to help with goaltending, has been better. So not surprised, but it's a toss-up. You could throw a blanket. Now, Jason, here's the thing about the Eastern Conference. Everybody's at 500 or better. Like the worst team in the conference are the Toronto Maple Leafs. So am I surprised that Detroit's at the top? No. Do I think they'll be at the top at game 82, 45 games from now? I have no idea because there's not much separating any of these teams in the Eastern Conference.
All right, let me not bury the lead any longer. And what Colorado is doing, for as much as we talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA right now, what Colorado is doing, not just atop the Western Conference, but all of the NHL, try to put it into some perspective.
Well, the Bruins broke the record a couple of years ago and then got knocked out in the first round. So but still, Jason, to lose 2 games in regulation over 35 in this league is very difficult to do. And Jason, if they were any good at the shootout, they're 0-4 in the shootout. So let's say they were like 3-1. So then they'd be 29-2-3 or something like that. It's crazy. They are that good. I don't see anything stopping. Look, I'm going to beat my chest a little bit here. In August, we did our picks for 4th period. I picked Colorado to win it all. And now with the virtuosity of McKinnon and McCarr, but now a guy like Brock Nelson who came over and traded from the Islanders, he's really starting to catch fire as a 2C. The only thing I could see stopping this team is maybe the goaltending in the playoffs, because it's mostly unproven with Blackwood and Wedgwood, and an injury factor. But other than that, they have all the components they need. It's a deep team. They have guys playing on the 3rd pair defense. They're going to be playing 1st pair on other teams. It's a sight to be seen, and it's exciting hockey. They're just not just winning games 3-2. They're explosive. They're dynamic. Metcalf came over from Carolina, has done a great job there, signed a long-term contract. It's must-see hockey. You know, you talk about watching Connor McDavid play every night, and that is a great thing to see. But if you want to tune in, if you're a casual fan, catch an Avs game because they are that good right now, and they are that entertaining.
Dennis, they're a plus 61, and nobody's even close. In a year, like you said, where it's just
played 35 games.
Yeah, I mean, it's nuts when you talk about, you know, the rest of the league being and all this parity and all that. I mean, they stand out so much, as does Dallas, who in the last 30 seconds, I want to get your thoughts on the Stars, who are obviously flying under the radar because of how good the Avalanche are.
Yeah, and nobody's noticing them, but they've won 4 straight, 8 out of 10. Really great away team, 13-2-4. They have all the parts. Like, I picked them, but again, the question mark for this team is going to be what's Jake Oettinger going to be, the goaltender, in the playoffs. He's let them down the last couple of seasons, but they have all the components they need to win a Stanley Cup. Colorado better watch out for them in the second round if they do meet.
Let's get you back on either next week or the week after, and we'll obviously be getting you on a lot more as we get into 2026 and the NHL calendar ramps up. Always appreciate you, my friend.
Always a pleasure, JP. Thanks for the time.
We're coming back on this Tuesday edition of Sports Wrap. Let's take it to segment 5 on this Tuesday edition of the show. Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes. Snoop Dogg is everywhere. We'll get to it coming up. Robert Littal. The head shake says it all. Hold your fire. Look at the look of disdain on your face. 'Tis the season. Come on.
I got my Merry, Christmas. Yeah, it's my time. Merry Christmas.
So I had planned to talk about Jake Paul getting knocked on his ass over the weekend by Anthony Joshua, and I really did want to talk about that, but Draymond Green decided to disturb the sports news flow of the day with some antics late last night. You may have missed it. If you did, here it is with him walking off the floor. First, he has an argument with Steve Kerr during one of the timeouts in this matchup between the Warriors and the Magic. By the way, the Warriors would go on to win. Good win for them in this challenging season that they're going through. But Draymond was really fired up about something, and him and Steve Kerr are going back and forth, and eventually Draymond walks off the floor. The Warriors go on to win the game. Everybody tried to say the right thing after the game. Draymond did eventually come back out onto the bench. He did not play the rest of the game. And Steve Kerr made it very clear that despite the fact that Draymond came back out, there was not a scenario in which he was going to get put back into the game, basically because he walked off on the team. And he said, we were just moving forward with our guys. But Kerr didn't say much. Nobody said what the argument was about between the two. And look, to me, this is all about the Warriors having enabled Draymond Green for all these years. They have been the great enablers to his behavior. It's been the no, not my child problem. And sort of the way they've handled it. So as far as I'm concerned, they deserve whatever they get out of Draymond because they've allowed it to happen for all these years. In no other environment, no other workplace, would you be allowed to constantly flaunt the rules. He cold-cocked one of his former teammates during a practice and didn't lose his job, let alone the fact that he should have probably been put in jail for assault. Throw that aside, Robert. Just the latest in a long line of examples of Draymond being Draymond.
Well, I always say this, the Warriors won 4 titles, partly because of Draymond Green. They probably lost 3 or 4 titles, partly because of Draymond Green as well. I would have got rid of him after they won the 4th, to be honest with you. When his contract came up, I would have traded him or let him go as a free agent. He's been, especially in these later years, more of a negative than a positive. And, quitting on your team for someone that claims to be the greatest team player of all time, you would think punching a teammate is something you couldn't come back for. You would think running Kevin Durant off would be something you couldn't be. But I really don't understand it. I'm confused, because he's, I'll be honest with you, he's a good defensive player. He's a good, assist guy. He's not Jokic. He's not so great, especially at his age now. He's injured a lot. That he shouldn't be, he should be expendable. And I don't understand what is the hold. Well, they let Klay Thompson go. Yeah. One of the nicest guys.
One of the greatest shooters of all time. Just because he, dipped a little bit. But Klay Thompson is a much better overall player than Draymond Green has ever been. And they let him walk out the building, and he didn't even do anything, just besides be unhappy with some of the. Well, his game.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, I think they knew his game was in decline, so they decided they didn't want to pay him what obviously the Mavericks were going to be.
Well, they gave Draymond $100 million.
I agree. Listen, I've been of the mindset for 3 years that they should have blown this thing up. And Warrior
for Steph.
I feel bad for Steph too, but again, Steph's been part of the enabling as well. Steph has enabled it too.
That's Steph's personality.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, that's on him too, because if Steph had walked into Joe Lacob's office at any point and said, Draymond's got to go, Draymond would have been gone.
You're right, and other players would have done that. I would say that LeBron and others. There's a reason why LeBron never tried to bring Draymond in, even though they're boys. Yeah. I don't understand. He's just such a net negative, but he's an individual that doesn't take any accountability ever. And I guess it's hard to take accountability when he's almost like Trump. It's like if you never have any consequences for what you do, how can you ever expect any type of accountability? For it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I won't go down the political road just to save myself the trouble. But in the case of Draymond, it is clear at this point that they have made the decision that they're just going to deal with whatever it is and ride this thing until the wheels fall off or until he decides to retire. And eventually he'll have a career in broadcasting.
Why do we, I don't understand that. Why do we give people these opportunities? And then, at least
they're going to be looking for the next Barkley. And I think there are some people that believe he could be him
on TNT. I'll be honest, when it was TNT.
Yeah.
Because, you can't punch people in the face, doing broadcasting. That's part of his, allure.
A lot of people, I'm telling you, they're going to think he could be the next Barkley. That's the idea behind it.
He would wish he was Charles Barkley.
Yeah, I agree from a number of angles. But he's got something Chuck doesn't have. Lots of rings. He's got the hardware. We're coming back. We got more to do. Odds and ends right around the corner. If you thought Robert Littal was fired up about this, wait until you hear what he has to say about Snoop Dogg next. Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Tuesday. We've got a Christmas Eve show tomorrow. Don't worry. We'll be here. And then off on Thursday and Friday for the Christmas holiday and the day after when we're all just holding on to our stomachs, trying to get over all the food we just ate, the food coma, the hangover, whatever it may be. What was that, Robert?
I got to get a turkey today. My wife, orders this turkey from Honey Baked Ham, but you got to go pick it up, and there's always a line. So you just reminded me, I got to get out. So as soon as we do odds and ends, I'm going to get my turkey.
Fair enough.
I thought you'd be more excited about that. I guess not.
Listen, I'm literally celebrating Christmas by myself here at the Page Estate for reasons I'm not going to get into here on the air. Unexpectedly, I'm literally just going to be me and the dog.
Okay, well then I'm going to hit you up and we're going to. I'll text you throughout the day while we're watching these bad football games.
These bad football games is right, boy. So before we get to odds and ends, a couple of reminders. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show Monday through Friday 45 minutes. It's fantastic. Subscribe today. We also have the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel for all things Sports Wrap. The TV version of the show is there Monday through Friday. And guess what? The commercials are taken out. So it's 45 minutes commercial free Monday through Friday on our YouTube channel. You can see me, you can see Robert, you can see Dennis Bernstein, you can see Sam Yarnell, all our guests. It's great. Go and check that out as well. We will also have the best of Sports Wrap Best of 2025 on the YouTube channel as well. Sports Wrap shorts are there too. They are fantastic. 1 to 3 minutes in length, Monday through Friday. Actually, what am I saying? They're up there 7 days a week. Anytime there's a big story in sports, we are in Sports Wrap Shorts to tell you about it right away. The biggest games, we've got them covered as well as football on the weekend. Sports Wrap Shorts available on our YouTube channel. Also available on TikTok, Sports Wrap Jason Page, and on Instagram, Sports Wrap Jason Page. Without any further delay, Robert Littal mentioned it. Time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Robert Littal. Snoop Dogg, because the guy doesn't have his hands in enough these days. Snoop is going to be an analyst on an NBA broadcast between the Warriors and Clippers, I believe, around New Year's over on Peacock. I'm here for it. Give me more Snoop.
No, man, I'm tired. Look, everything. We just talked about Draymond, right? There's a shelf life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Snoop, I'm not upset. Snoop, if it's a check involved, Snoop's going to take it, first off. And I don't have a problem with that. I wish more checks came our way that we could just take. So, but if you say, hey, Snoop, I got $1 million, he don't even listen to the rest of it. Yes. Yes. But for us, it's like, come on, man. It's just, I mean, we've been watching Snoop do the same Snoop thing, for the past 30 years. It's like, we have to have more ideas, right? There has to be somebody else out there that maybe somebody else is worse. I don't know. But it's like, I'm just tired of seeing the same people. I'm tired of seeing Kurt Herbstreit. I'm tired of seeing Snoop Dogg and Pat McAfee. It's the same people over and over and over again. Like, is there any fresh face? Anybody new?
Nope.
Like, hey, I don't know who this person is. They're interesting to me. I don't see that unless it's some OnlyFans person or somebody that's, like you said, a streamer that's out here on the street looking like an idiot. I don't know anybody. There's no Eddie Murphy. There's no Chris Rock. There's no Nas. There's no Jay-Z. There's nobody fresh. Nobody knew. Nope. It's like you don't see Jay-Z. Jay-Z's out being a dad. A kid. I want something new. I'm tired of the old stuff.
But you're of a certain...
And you don't get no older than Snoop Dogg.
But you're of a certain age. And I'm of a certain age. The only rap CD I ever bought in my life was The Chronic, by the way. When I was a sophomore in high school. And my father almost killed me. My Archie Bunker dad almost killed me for getting The Chronic as a kid.
You know what I asked my wife for Christmas?
What?
A record player.
Oh, I love it.
And a couple of records.
Yeah.
Because I just need to feel. I love technology and I love what it's done for us. That's why we're on the show today. We can do it like this and all this great stuff. It just feels like certain things were just better when we were younger and simpler. And I just want to sit in my office and listen. And The Chronic was one of the albums I asked for. That's why I bring it up.
Oh,
I just want to sit there and put the record on, even though when we were young, it was CDs and stuff. But
to think that he was part of that culture at one time.
Yes,
he was basically an outlaw. And now here he is.
And I don't want him to be a 60-year-old gangster. Let me rephrase. I'm not saying that, right? I'm just saying if I'm watching the Winter Olympics, right, and I'm watching my figure skating or whatever, right, I just don't need to hear Snoop Dogg, every single time. Like, it was cool to win the Olympics. It was fine. But I can already tell that, like, it worked once. Let's bring in more Snoop Dogg while we're watching skeet shooting or whatever. And I'm like, okay. It's like Kevin Hart. Like, for a while, you couldn't get anywhere without Kevin Hart, and now you don't see him. Great.
Except in those DraftKings commercials with LeBron. We got to go. We're out of time on this Tuesday. Don't worry, we'll have more Robert Littal on Wednesday's show. Always appreciate you, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Happy holidays. I want to hit you up. Don't you think you're alone. You got a lot of good friends, and I am number one.
That is nice of you. Thanks to Dennis Bernstein and all of you at home for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.